Mortgage Podcast, the show where we dive deep into the topics that directly impact the evolving originator. I'm your host, Connor Bartley. Bam! And joining me today is a really talented originator that after just a short period of time in the business already ranks among the top in the industry. With a very focused and intentional approach to how she's built her business, things are really starting to thrive and there's set up for incredible growth. So Dakotah Kutz, welcome to the Lowdown.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm just excited for you to join and to have this conversation. We talked before kind of prepping for this, and I learned a lot about how you've come a long way in this business in a very short time. And then today you share something with me that was totally unexpected. And so I'll let you go into more detail about it. But if you don't mind, just sort of starting with what was your journey into the mortgage business?
Yeah, so I like sharing my kind of career journey because I never thought that I was going to ever have a career. My goal was never to have a career. I always thought that I was just going to be a stay-at-home mom, have a lot of kids. And I think that that is an amazing journey for so many women. But for me, it's been very natural, like how it's evolved. And my career has become such a core part of me now. And so much of my identity is in this job. And it was so surprising. And so it's interesting because when I grew up with a single mom, she was always a very, very hard worker. Like my mom always worked multiple jobs. She had a college degree, but she never used her degree. She always just worked like any job she could to support us. And in school, I struggled a lot. Like when I was young, I was kind of the gifted, talented student, they all thought I was going to be smart because I was really good at reading. I was a good test taker. But then as I got into school, like middle and high school, I was flunked almost every single class. I remember my GPA when I graduated was a 2.1. And the only way I was able to graduate was because my math teacher was also the gym teacher. And he was like, Dakotah, I know you want to graduate. I know you hate math. I know you hate coming to class because I would just skip class, not go. And he was like, but you test good, so I know you know what you're doing enough to survive. If you just show some dedication and come every day after school and run a mile after school for the last semester, I'll pass you.
Wow, what a deal.
I needed that to be able to walk in graduation. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Then, barely graduated. And then I worked a lot of odd jobs in my early 20s, and I landed a job at a big bank as just a banker and didn't have any experience or anything. And I ended up realizing that I was a really hard worker, but only for like something that I could see the reason for it. Like with school, it was really hard for me to focus because I was like, I don't care about this grade. If it's not going to get me anything, why am I doing it, So it made me realize that like I was a strong worker, but it was just like school was really hard for me. And so I worked my way kind of up through that bank, and I worked there for 5 years. I got my investment licenses, and I was working with the financial advisor to try to become like maybe a private banker or kind of like an investment advisor, maybe long-term goals. And as I started doing that, I was pregnant with my first son. And I was like, I want to work with people that are in the same world, like in the same place of life as me. Because my husband and I had just gotten engaged. We bought our first house. And I was like, I want to help people buy houses because that's like what we are doing and I can relate to them. Versus investing. I don't really relate to the investing yet. We used down payment assistance to buy our first house. We bought it for $1,000. And so that was really kind of what the light bulb was for me, where I was like, okay, I've been doing this banking thing for 5 years. I kind of can understand the numbers. I understand that I can work hard if there's an incentive for it. So I thought, 100% commission, a big incentive potential, and helping people that are in the same, kind of place in life as me sounds like a good fit. And so that was almost 6 years ago now. And I went in and never looked back. Best decision of my life.
Yeah. And when we spoke, you mentioned that you really got into the industry like in a high volume environment where there was a lot going on. You were kind of in a branch or an environment where there was high production happening. How do you feel like that really helped you get started, and how has that impacted you and where you are today?
Yeah, I think that was a really big key in my success early on because what I did, and I would recommend this to any other loan officer that's looking to get into the business in sales, is I begged a high producing lender to take me on as her junior. I interviewed probably 20 different companies before I found the right fit of someone that was willing to hire me and someone that I felt like was a good fit. And she took me kind of under her wing and taught me everything that she knew. That was huge, huge, huge. The other thing was that I came in right during COVID. Like I came in 2019, I think is when I started. And so it was right before COVID, and it was interesting because right as I was starting, they were starting to say, oh, maybe we'll wait to hire you because it's kind of a weird market. And I was like, no, please, please take me. I was like, I promise I won't let you down. And it ended up being the best time to start because nobody knew what was going to happen with COVID, but then it ended up just completely exploding the business. So many people had too much business to handle. And so I was kind of the bottom of the barrel taking like the $80,000, $60,000 loans. But I did a lot of them my first year. I think I did 130 loans my first year and for about 30 million in volume. And it just really got me comfortable with the process. I saw a lot really fast, and a lot of them were refinances. And so I didn't have like the high pressure of contract deadlines, real estate agents. I was able to just really learn how to process the loan itself. And then in the background, while I was processing those loans and learning that part, I was building my purchase business with agents and, networking and things like that. So that when that started to slow down, I was doing less. Like instead of 120, I went down to, 90 and then 75, but then it was all purchase. So the volume stayed the same.
Yeah, yeah. And so as you've started building up that purchase side of the business, you've kind of adapted a very intentional way of growing. And you even mentioned it, and maybe it's sort of ingrained in you, right? Like you want to work with the people that are kind of in the same stage of life of you. It's kind of how you got into mortgage to begin with, right? You were buying a house, you wanted to help other people buy homes. So has that sort of translated into the way that you've built up your referral partner network and things of that nature?
Yeah, for sure. I think that the core of my business and how I've built my business is really being intentional about the people that I choose to work with and making sure that their vision for the future is the same as mine and that they align with me in the value that I bring to them and their business. I think that there's really two different types of mortgage lenders in the people that I've met. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's that you either do one or two loans with a bunch of different agents and you just cast a really wide net and you kind of get them randomly, or you do a lot of loans with specific fewer agents that really value your partnership. And for me, that's something that's really important. And so like if I'm not going to be that, or if the agent doesn't see the value that I bring to their clients, then that's totally okay. But it's someone that I don't pursue working with because I don't really want the one-offs. I want the agent that's going to call me because they are dealing with another deal that's on fire and they need help. And they're like, I can call Dakotah. She is the answer to this.
So let's unpack that a little bit, because for anyone who might be listening that is interested in kind of taking that route, like how do you have that conversation? How are you identifying who's the right person for you? I mean, everybody's going to be different, but like what are some of the things that you discuss with that agent to know whether or not you're in alignment?
Yeah, so I'm very straightforward and honest about my intentions for the partnership from the very beginning. I'm not really, and I did this at the very, very beginning just to get in front of people. But really after the first 8 months of my business, I wasn't calling agents to go to lunch. Like I was waiting to get a genuine connection either through an agent that I already had a really good relationship with that was introducing me to people on their team, or somebody that I was friends with from a past life. Like someone that I knew I already kind of had that connection with was really where I tried to start. And then when we had our lunch or we had our meeting, I make it very clear that like this is a business purpose. We're not just here to have drinks or have fun. It's like, I want to help you in your business, and these are the things that I do. But in return, and I'm available to you 100% of the time if it ends up working for both of us. But in return, I want like respect of my time and respect of like me as a partner. And like, I kind of have high expectations on them a little bit too, where I'm like, hey, like, if someone that you refer me and that I worked hard with is talking about going to another lender or going on a different direction, I expect you to tell me. Because if it was the other way around, I would tell you. I wouldn't let you keep wasting your time, you know? And so I think being really upfront with where I stand and like seeing the success of my other agents that I work with now speaks to how well we do, because like deals really don't fall apart very often with us. Never for lending. Like I have not had a deal fall apart due to lending at all since I've started. So I'm very detailed. I get the loans closed. I close them fast. The clients are always happy. They end up referring both of us, their friends and family, because they had such a good experience. And so I'm like an integral part of those agents' business, and they really respect me for it. And so like if someone wants to hop on board with that, then 100%, like I want them on too. But if they're like, well, what are you going to give me? Are you going to send me leads? Are you going to, XYZ? Those are kind of red flags for me, where I'm kind of like, maybe it's not the right fit.
Yeah. So how often do you review those relationships? Are you annually kind of sitting down? Is it quarterly? Like how frequently do you get with those agents to say, how's this relationship working out for both of us, and just sort of evaluating where things stand?
Yeah, once a year, at the end of the year, I review all of the agents that I worked with in that year. And I kind of see where some relationships may have been kind of fading, where some have gotten really strong, what my new ones are. And I kind of like analyze what I could be doing better for them. And then I always try to do a few of different events for my, like, not necessarily for just those agents, but like for the partners in my business, like title companies, insurance, like people that work with me throughout my business. I'll try and do some like mastermind events where I bring those agents together so that they can chat with each other about like what they're seeing in the market, the success that they're having. And then I'm able to kind of tailor how I am as a lender for them based off of what I hear from those events.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I think you find that a lot in the agent community where they collaborate amongst each other quite a bit. The
Mhm.
loan officer community, not so much. I don't see a lot of the coming together and doing like, big masterminds. Occasionally, right? We've got the big events that happen, but just on a local level, meeting with kind of those local competitors to swap ideas and tactics. I wish I just saw more of that in lending.
I know. I have been actually trying more of that in the last like year. And I'm definitely guilty of the competitive side of me taking over in the beginning, especially where I'm like, I don't want to go somewhere with a bunch of other loan officers, like I want to be the one that they work with. And now I think I'm a little bit more confident in my business and in the value that I bring to the people that I do work with. And now I can see that there is enough business for all of us to go around. And I've been building more relationships with other loan officers like in my area. And I've noticed that it's really helped me, where sometimes there's a product that I don't have that I know one of my colleagues has at another company. And if I'm able to refer that to them, they are happy, the agent's happy, the client's happy, and everyone is glad that I'm the one that made the connection. So it's made me realize, like, okay, Dakotah, tone down your competitors a little bit. You don't need to be such a psychopath. Because I have gotten a little mean, like a little bitey, I would say. But
I gotcha. Well, but I think that's great. And you've mentioned the word confidence, and I think that's a lot of what it boils down to. It's a competitive industry. It's commission only sales. Everybody, is eating what they kill, so to speak. And so sometimes that there's a reluctance to meet with others or share stories or collaborate because you're just worried so and so might steal the next deal or whatever. But you brought up a great point, like knowledge is power, and knowing what your competition has that you don't can help you fill in a gap for somebody in the future and really just be that connector and that resource. And being that connector is what keeps the relationship intact with that agent versus
Right.
them finding out for themselves and then finding a new loan officer to work with.
Right, right. And the thing that I've noticed that's happened, sorry, I just am gonna plug my phone in just because I don't want us to die. One of my agents, like I learned this kind of the hard way, is if I find something out through an agent that like a lender has something to offer that I don't have, it makes me look dumb. And I'm like, I would rather be the one to say, hey, my product is XYZ. This is why I think it's best. Another lender offers it XYZ. This is what it looks like over there. So that they trust me to be their kind of one-stop information shop, and they know I'm not trying to sell them. I'm not trying to spin something for them, because then guess what? They go and try to find their information somewhere else, and they say, huh, Dakotah didn't tell me about this. She either doesn't know or she's hiding it from me. And so having the relationships with the other LOs really helps with that, because they're able to, they know that I'm also not going to take their clients. Like I'm doing it for myself, but I'm not trying to take their agents or clients. I'm just trying to give the best service that I possibly can.
Yeah, that's such a great call out. Kind of transitioning then to, you've helped so many people in such a short amount of time, which is really incredible. But is there a story of a particular loan or a borrower that you really just, it sticks out to you? It's one that really just sort of stuck with you along the way?
Say there's a few that stick out to me, but in general, the ones that stick out to me most are the ones that one found me in an unconventional way, like through social media, and that have trusted me to help them multiple times in my short time in the business. So like I've been in the business almost 6 years, and I have a few clients now that I've helped 2 or 3 times. And to have someone trust me in that way in 6 years, help someone with 3 different home purchases, it feels very special to me. And it feels like there's like this trust that they have in me to keep coming back. And so that really stands out. And then also people that find me, like one of my clients that I'm thinking of, he found me on TikTok 4 or 5 years ago. We purchased his first house. It was a non-QM, very funky situation loan. The whole time I said, I don't know if this is going to work, but if it does, it's going to be rocky. So we just need to try, right? He's like, okay, whatever you say. We got through it. He's like, I trust you more than anyone ever because you got that done. No one else would have been able to. And so we refinanced that house a couple years later. He was able to go conventional at that time because we didn't have to deal with the non-QM stuff. And now he's looking at selling that place and buying another. And I always look back to that and I think that guy saw a video of mine on social media and thought, I'll trust her, And I'm like, that's crazy. And that's like, and I really don't take that lightly because I'm like, that is a huge, huge thing that you're trusting me with, such a huge financial decision. And I really try to make sure that I am as educated as I can be, as knowledgeable as I can be about loan products and what the best option is for them, really giving them all of their options because I don't want to take advantage of the fact that they trusted me from the internet.
Yeah. So is your content more educational, or what are some of the things that you're posting that seems to be getting the best response from borrowers and referral partners as well?
So I've been a little less on the social media train lately, but in general, I try to post things that are funny but relatable to our industry. So what I see in my content, like on TikTok, is that it mostly relates to either other loan officers or real estate agents that think it's like funny because it's something that we all have experienced. As far as targeting client specific content, usually I do that more on Instagram or on Facebook, and really in terms of like my Instagram stories. And I get a lot of engagement through my Instagram stories or Facebook where clients are reaching out with loan questions, lending help. And I want to always just be seen as available. And so I think stories really helps, because all throughout the day as I'm working, I'm posting stories about mortgage, articles, rate like Mortgage News Daily, screenshots, doing a little snip of a client that I'm working on. And I try to do that every day so that anyone that's scrolling through Instagram, they're like, oh, Dakotah's going to be available. She's posting all day long about mortgages,
Right.
you know.
Is that something that just comes natural to you, or did that sort of develop over time? Just like the ability to just stop what you're doing, do a video or make a story, like, or is that something that you're, is the muscle that you had to flex to really kind of work up to what you're doing now, the frequency?
I definitely had to be intentional about it at the beginning. Right when I started, I saw that social media was going to be a way for me to potentially hone in my business. I'm millennial. I grew up on MySpace, Facebook, Instagram. Like those things were always around starting when I was like 12 or 13. So I've been familiar with social media my whole life. So that part was fine. But I saw that there was an opportunity there for these people that I didn't keep in touch with, to let them know what I'm doing. So I always knew that that was going to be kind of a pillar of my business, but I ended up working with a social media like centered team for about 2 years. And one of the people on that team was really big on TikTok. He was one of the first mortgage lenders on TikTok, and he just exploded. And so he kind of taught me what he had done and told me, okay, you got to post 3 times a day. This is the type of content. This is kind of how we find things to post. And so he really helped me kind of put like a strategy to it. And I did that for about a year and a half. I posted 3 times a day. I filmed on Sundays and would like batch content, make it very official. And I did grow doing that. And I did get a lot of leads that way. But then as I started kind of feeding different areas of my business, now I try to do it more like on the fly, which is a little less, it doesn't work as well as the fully strategized part, but I think that the other parts of my business are flourishing more than the social media part right now. So I've just kind of switched
It's
it.
a balance, right?
Yeah.
Like the more I talk to people about it, the more that seems to kind of play out as the theme is that, you can go all in on it, but then other parts, just like anything, if you're not balanced in your business, one area is going to be stronger than another. And so, striking that balance is really important.
Right.
So, but Dakotah, what's next for you? I mean, when you look into the future and how you want to grow, how you want to build, what are some of the things that you're really focused on to develop from a skill standpoint, or just to grow your business? What are you hoping to do over the next couple of years?
Yeah, so my goal is to hire a junior right now. I'm like, so short-term goal, I want a junior because I started as a junior. Now, 5 years in, I want to have someone that's like me to be able to train, show them how I've done things, and kind of do the same thing that I did. I think that that would be really fulfilling and help me kind of grow a team in the way that I want a team to run. And I think finding somebody who has little or no mortgage experience but has a lot of heart and hustle is going to be the way to do it, versus finding somebody that's already in mortgage and kind of has their ways of doing things. So that's short term. Long term, I'm about a $30 million producer right now. And every year I basically stayed the same. This year, I think I'll do more. I think I'll probably be around 35. But I would love to be at 50, but not a lot more work. So the way that I'm foreseeing that is growing a team a little bit, because right now I'm doing it. It's me and I have an assistant who helps me, but I want other loan officers to be able to help us get to 50. And I think that that's the most realistic route to go. So that's what I'm going to be working on over the next couple of years.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'll keep an eye on it. I'm sure you'll hit it. So, I mean, clearly you've got the
Hopefully, we'll see.
determination, the drive to go for it, and that's where it starts, right? You've got to have a goal to go for and aspire to, and then work towards that goal. And so clearly you're no stranger to hard work, and so with all that, the sky is the limit. But with that, we'll end there. Unless is there anything else you want to share, or any advice that you could give to anyone listening that you think would be important that we haven't covered?
If I could give any advice to a loan officer that's looking to get into the business, a lot of people are going to tell you that it's not the right time, it's a bad market, rates are high, it's saturated, whatever. And something that I heard the other day that I was like, yes, this is true, is it's only crowded at the bottom. But if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to do what you got to do, put the energy in, and you want to truly help people, you're going to be successful. It doesn't matter what market it is.
That's a great quote, by the way. It's only crowded at the bottom. Love that. Well, Dakotah, thanks for joining the Lowdown. It was great having this conversation with you, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.